All right, today is October 17, 2024. This is a meeting of the Kubernetes Storage Special Interest Group. As a reminder, this meeting is public, recorded, and posted on YouTube. Today, we're going to go through the agenda. If you have anything that you want to add, feel free to add to the bottom any of these sections, and we'll get to it. You can find a link to the agenda doc in your calendar invite. We are currently in the Kubernetes 132 planning cycle, or the development cycle, excuse me. For 132, we just finished the enhancement freeze state, and the next state to be aware of is the actual code freeze. So if you are working on features for this release, please be aware that the code freeze is going to be the 8th of November. I'm going to go ahead and strike through the deadlines that we've already passed. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to our planning spreadsheet, and we'll go over the 132 items and get status updates. We'll start with recovering from resize failure, move to beta for this cycle. Do we have Hemant or anybody able to give an update on this one?
I'm here, yeah. So the cap is merged. I am working on. I have not started to be honest yet, but I'll be working on flipping the feature kit and making the other changes that need for beta. It already has end-to-end test, so there's not a whole lot need to be done. But yeah,
Awesome. Cool. Thank you, Hemant. Next, we have volume group snapshot, also going to beta this cycle. Any update from Xing or anyone else?
Right, so the cap is merged and ETU test is also merged. So we have a PR in CSI spec that moved from alpha to GA. So that PR right now it's being reviewed. Basically, I just need to run a test with a existing driver, like the CSI hostpath driver with that PR, make sure that does not break anything. So that's a request from Ben. So I'm working on that. And then we also have a PR that moves the API to beta in external snapshotter. We need to make some changes because during the cap review, we added a new field. So we're going to add that new field and then make some changes to the controller. So all the work is in progress.
Awesome. Looks like that's coming along pretty well. I can help with the CSI spec when it's ready to help that merge.
Thank you.
Cool. Next is CSI volume health. Consider moving it to beta. Let's see. Last status update. We need to have a discussion on whether to move this to beta, or we need to make changes to API before moving to beta. Any
Right.
follow up on that?
So we have not had that meeting yet, so we still need to have that meeting. But in the meantime, I think it's Inchi. I think his team has a PR to make a bug fix for the warning house, so that just got merged.
Cool. Sounds good. Thank you, Shane. For change block tracking, it would be alpha this cycle, moving from design. Anything new here?
So right now it's yeah, it's still a working in progress. Basically, development is ongoing. And I don't know if we have Mark here. Thought he might trying to join. He's trying to get more contributors, get more vendors to implement this.
Got it. So I guess for folks on the call, if you're interested in helping contribute, this may be an opportunity and an area where you can work with someone who is already kind of has an area defined. So it should be easier to kind of jump in and help.
Saad and Shing, do you know what is the current status? Like, are the infrastructure components already built at this point, or is that work still ongoing?
So it's already because the cap was merged last release, right? So basically folks just are working on the implementations. And there is a repo created for this. I think it's called external snapshot metadata. And so the work is ongoing. So I think mainly they would like to have some vendors who are interested in implement this in their driver. That would be great. But other than that, of course, there are other work like adding the E2E tests and things like that. Just
Got
trying
it.
to get, like, we're trying to make a first release, but that's, yeah.
Got it. So the main, like, I think there was a sidecar that was going to get added. All of that work is complete. They're probably looking for support in terms of the storage provider implementation or the backup provider implementation or something like that, right?
I think that, yeah, so I think that is mostly done, but I think they still need to get the CI running so that they can actually, be able to do some tests, right? So I think someone is working on adding that in CSI host path, at least so we have like a sample driver. So that work is ongoing. Yeah.
Cool. Good question, Manu. Thank you, Shing. Next, we have enable privileged containers for Windows to replace CSI proxy for Windows, also alpha this cycle. Last update was PR open in GCP repo is closed. We'll follow up with Mauricio. Any update?
Yeah, hey, so we do have an update for this. We learned that Alibaba is also planning on supporting Windows in their CSI driver using Windows privileged containers. So that's great news. I'm not entirely sure about timelines, but if they do end up supporting it, it should meet the criteria for graduating this to beta.
Awesome. Cool. That is good news. Thank you for sharing, Eddie. Next, we can move on to the SC Linux stuff. First one is SC Linux relabeling using mount options for other access modes. We plan alpha changes in 132.
So the gap has been merged and I have API PR on review.
Awesome. Thank you, Jan. And the next one, keep RWP in beta.
I think we are just tracking it. We are not planning any changes there, right? To do.
Oh, yes, that's for 132. Oh, no. Let's see. We said keep RWP off by default in 132.
Oh, so last time we split it into 2 rows, so that way it's easier to track.
It is enabled by default in 31 or even 30. And we want to keep it as it is in 132. I don't want to touch it.
Okay. So maybe change this to 133 then.
Yeah. Oh, maybe.
And then I will cross it out if we are not going to do this work in 132. Okay. Cool. Thank you for the update there, Jan. Next, we have volume attribute class.
Yeah, I pinged
Yep, go.
Federico, the chair of SIG API machinery, in the biweekly sync, and he said that he'll try to see if someone can take a look, but it's what's blocking us from having a full. There's this issue that Carlery raised that's blocking their PR of the quota feature, which is blocking us from the release before we move to GA, because we have been wanting to get that out. So hopefully they'll take a look soon.
Saad, is this something that you could potentially help us with?
Potentially, yeah. Do you know who your contact for API machinery was?
Let me link the issue in the chat too, because I
Sure.
think there's some signers. But Federico replied yesterday in the SIG API machinery Slack channel. Fede Bongio is the Slack.
Can you send an email to me and Michelle? And we can certainly try to help escalate.
Sounds good.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Saad.
Yep, definitely. Next is storage capacity scoring, how to sort. Alpha implementation this cycle. Anything new here?
App is merged.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think I have not seen a PR yet, but yeah, it's merged.
Cool. Sounds good. Next we have co-owned with SIG apps volume expansion for stateful sets. This is designed for this cycle. Anything new here?
Yeah, we have reached agreement with SIG apps, and we are targeting this feature in 133. Yeah. By the way, I have some problem with my micro, so I
No problem.
didn't reply earlier. Yeah.
Got it. No worries. So we're targeting this for 133. So I'll go ahead and put a note here. And we'll stop tracking this for 132, and then we'll come back and pick it up for 133 then. All right, cool. Thank you for that update, Yingqi. Next, we have non-graceful node shutdown, co-owned with SIG nodes. Should be mostly tests and bug fixes. Anything new here?
So yeah, I just pinned Inchi to help, and he said he will be helping with this, wrapping this integration test up.
Okay. And then next is also the co-owned with SIG apps, auto delete PVCs with stateful sets, moving to GA this cycle. Matt or Michelle or anyone else have any update here?
I see the cap is merged.
Okay, we'll keep an eye out and hopefully we can get the implementation in as well and get this to GA. Thanks, Ching. Next, we have add option to disable 6-minute force detach timer. Change the default in 132. Anything new here? I guess the question here is, do we actually need to change the default? Eddie's PR is merged recently. Not directly related. Anything new here? Are we still doing this? Do we have Ben online?
Yeah, I'm here. Rohit was the one who was driving this, and I haven't talked to him in some time about it. I need to ask him if he's still on top of it, or if we need to find someone else to drive it forward. I believe we should change the default. I mean, if it's been available for a while. I mean, I know we've been testing it internally. And the behavior is better. If no one is opposed to enabling it, we should turn it on by default. And then, the escape hatches, if that causes problems, we still have a way to turn it off. I don't expect there will be any problems. But let me ask Rohit what, if anything, he wants to do before we make a final call.
Got it.
Because we will
Sorry,
need a PR to change the default.
This is the force detach?
Yeah.
This is disabling of the 6-minute timer, which
Yeah.
defaults to.
I'm a bit wary about changing the default because it's been like this since forever, and changing the default can change the behavior for a lot of people.
I agree. But I mean, we will have the option. People will have the option to re-enable it if it causes problems for them personally. And I don't know what's going to change between now and 4 months from now or 8 months from now. Like This is the Band-Aid that has to get ripped off. We have the non-graceful node shutdown feature, which is the correct way to deal with unhealthy nodes and storage that's just stranded on them. Like this is just an old hack that, you know, it's going to be painful to get rid of. But
Yeah, but I'm
have to.
concerned that because it's been like this since the beginning of Kubernetes, like we're gonna end up breaking a lot of people if we change the default.
But what can we do about that? Like what's going to be different 4 months from now, or 6 months, or 8 months from now? Are you suggesting we leave it this way forever?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like the flag is there for people to opt into it.
Yeah, I mean that's a reasonable stance.
Could we put some kind of a timeline associated with deprecating this? Like if you don't want to do it right now, that's okay. But maybe like, I don't know.
We can. It's just that, I'm pretty sure just people don't read every single note and don't pay as close attention, right?
Yeah.
And so even though we can make all the noise we want about it, but I think it's still going to end up breaking a lot of people.
Well, so where I get stuck is I'm trying to figure out who is having this happen in their environment and they're happy that it's happening, because
like there are storage systems that can actually handle this fine.
Okay, so
yeah, I'm pretty sure like this has been the default behavior for a lot of, most of Kubernetes deployments out there, and people have been used to the behavior of it.
I mean, if our stance is we're stuck with this forever, then we could get on with and just tell people like, yeah, this is never going away. You have to opt out of it, and storage systems should just get smarter about dealing with it. I think that would be disappointing because of how many times it does lead to bad behavior. And the non-graceful node shutdown feature is the correct way to deal with it.
Yeah, I would agree with you from like a ideal like conceptual standpoint, but I just feel like in practice and reality, like people have been living with this and are used to this, and it's been okay.
Yeah. I just, if we take that stance, I don't see it changing. So it would be a permanent plan to basically leave things in the status quo forever.
Yeah, like for most drivers, it was this like it's fine if the volume is not mounted, you can yank the disk. It works okay, but yeah, we don't know what will break if we disable that behavior basically. And yeah, it might be better to do this as an opt-in rather than a like if you.
Yeah, well, and that's how it currently is. It's currently opt-in.
Oh,
So,
okay.
So Michelle is proposing we just leave it the way it is now. And yeah, if we're going to do that forever, it's reasonable. I don't know what would cause us to change our mind later on. I mean, I like pushing the non-graceful node shutdown features, the correct way to deal with this, at least in the absence of a proper force detach design, which has been my back burner for years at this point.
What we see customers in EKS, EBS land doing is they sometimes delete the node resource when they delete the backing instance, and then there is no place to put that annotation.
Yeah, if your node object doesn't exist, there's no way to signal.
Yeah, I know that you previously picked up or brought up a skip add force detach for the controller, which is something like EBS would want, because you cannot detach a mounted volume in EBS, which is why, some customers, okay, they can reattach their volume 6 minutes later to a new node if they forgot to, gracefully shut down. And yes, customers should be more careful. But what some of our customers feel is, 6 minutes delay is better than an infinite delay. And so I think that's the one corner case our customers run into a lot, but that's kind of a miseducation of it.
But
Wait,
is it not the case that deleting the node also triggers deletion of the volume attachment? Because I thought that's how ADC responded. If you delete the whole node object, I thought ADC would delete the volume attachments associated with that node object immediately.
Not today from my experience, but maybe.
Yeah, not today. Today what happens is that you'll get stuck in the 6 minute because it's an ungraceful shutdown, and then after 6 minutes, your controller controller unpublished volume will get called. In our case, a deleted node always means the volume is unpublished. There's no way for it to possibly be attached. So we instantly report that a success, and then the volume attachment gets deleted.
Exactly. So we would actually love if a node resource got deleted, the volume attachment resource is gone. That would solve a few customer issues. But we don't want is the forever stuck volume attachment blocking from a stateful workload migrating to an actually alive node.
On AWS though, like you can detach a volume that is mounted. It works for NVMe types at least.
Oh, I thought that you get a warning, like a detached volume, like it won't let you.
No,
Okay.
It works. I just tested like last week, I think.
I might have misspoke there. Apologies.
Sorry. Yeah, AWS will let you detach a volume that's mounted. You have to pass a special flag in the detach volume call. Like force detach or something like that.
No. You can detach, just the normal detach.
It shouldn't let you, at least not normally. Maybe on Windows or some jank.
It does. Well, I mean, that's a bit orthogonal, but
yeah,
it used to be not with the older type, but the newer C5 and all the instance type that you can just yeah.
It's possible there's some exception I'm not aware of. In relation to the 6 minute delay issue, our issue really is that once a node is deleted, the volume is guaranteed to be detached. There's nothing but we end up waiting 6 minutes because we have no way of signaling to Kubernetes, by the way, this volume is detached.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we make a decision here. Given that the opt-out already exists or opt-in already exists, let's leave it the default as is because it's too risky to change. There are drivers that are depending on it, and even if you do a deprecation, it could catch them by surprise. And for implementers who care about this, they can change the default. Anybody object to that?
That certainly seems like the lowest risk approach.
Yeah. Okay, if there's no objections, then let's go ahead and remove this one from our list, and we'll leave it as is. I'll put a note here. All right, thank you for the discussion on that, folks. Next, let's move on to Cozy overall, move to V1 Alpha 2. Anything new on Cozy?
So work is still in progress. Yeah, I do added item in agenda.
Yeah, about the repo consolidation.
Yeah, can talk about that later.
Cool. Next item is CSI sidecar all-in-one. Anything new here?
I don't think we have a significant update since last week.
Okay, no worries. Thanks, Connor. Next is remove dynamic provisioning support from the host path entry volume plugin. Design only for this cycle, implementation blocked by Portworx. Any update on this one?
No update. We can remove it. I will continue it. Next milestone. I will continue.
Okay,
Next.
great. Thank you, Carlery. So I'll keep it here and you can continue. Next is remove git repo in tree plugin. This was deprecated a long time ago.
Yeah, the actual pull request is closed. It was changed otherwise. I don't feel people want to really remove it.
Should it be marked as undeprecated then? Like, we can't have a.
It is. It was marked deprecated for a long time. They added a warning now. Maybe we try in a few months.
I mean, I think so. Deprecated doesn't necessarily mean removed. Deprecated just means we're gonna stop adding new features to it.
Well, the problem with that one is that it's a security vulnerability, and it should really be removed.
Yeah, so I think if we actually do agree that we should remove it, then I think we need to send out a new notice saying we are actually planning on removing it. And that needs to follow, I think, according to the policy, we need to announce like a year or something before we remove it.
Like I said, a few months.
Got it. So it sounds like by the letter of the law, because Kubernetes is so careful about trying not to break backwards compatibility, we have a bunch of rules. We thought that deprecation was sufficient to go ahead and start removing code, but it turns out it's not just deprecation. We also need to deprecate and then have a separate notice to announce removal of that code, then wait a year and then remove the code. So that makes sense. And given this is a security concern, it is something we need to remove. So maybe the next step here is to send a notice to Kubernetes SIG storage, to Kubernetes dev, etc. Let everybody know that it's being removed. Maybe update the Kubernetes docs, and then wait a year, and then go ahead and delete the code. Is everybody on board with that plan? Chris?
Yep.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's break this into two separate items. And what we'll do is duplicate this, and we'll say announce official removal to allow deprecate a deletion of code. And then 1 year after we'll announce target, let's say October 2025. And we'll go ahead and scratch this out for now and use this as a tracking issue. Chris, would you be interested in following up on this announcing official removal aspect of it?
I can, but I'm not 100% sure what the process would be to send that stuff out.
Got it. I think if you sync up with Michelle, she can probably help point you to all the right mailing lists and whatnot.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's we need to create a release note I think we might have to update some of the warnings that are currently emitted and add in like a timeline for removal into those warnings. So I think if you send a PR that updates the warning with the timeline and then add the release note to it, and then mark the PR as like there's a specific label to mark the PR as like a deprecation PR or something like that. And then that should be good.
Okay, I'll look into that.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Chris. And feel free to
Thank you.
reach out if you get lost.
All right.
Thank you. Next is mutable CSI node allocatable property. We have no updates for this recently. I think it might be a new item. Do we
Yeah.
have C on the call?
Yeah, I have a couple of updates for this. First is that we are now targeting alpha in 133. So I think we should update the target status here to design for 132.
Okay.
Next is that scalability concerns for alpha have been addressed. So we have thumbs up from API machinery, as well as the assigned PRR reviewer. And in terms of SIG engagement, we received some good feedback from Mauricio, Hamant, Michelle. As of this morning, I've incorporated all that feedback from folks here on the CAB. We also attended SIGNode to bring general awareness, and we also received feedback from SIGNode. So it's been actively looked at from different SIGs. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I wanted to say thank you to Hemant and Michelle and anybody else on the SIG storage side who's been reviewing this. Thanks a lot for your input. It's really appreciated.
Yeah, thank you, folks. So we will keep this as designed for this cycle, and then we'll move it to alpha in the next cycle. Thank you for the update there. With that, I'll go ahead and switch back to our agenda doc, and we can go through the miscellaneous items here. Carla, you want to go through these items?
No, next meeting is okay.
Okay, you want to discuss this in the next meeting? Okay, I guess we can review these offline. Shing, do you want to go with your item?
Yes. So Cozy team has been working on consolidated repos. I just want to make sure that we are good with this. So currently, under Kubernetes 6, there are, I think, say five repos. So we will be keeping the sample driver repo. That's a separate one. But we want to archive the sidecar, controller, and spec repo, and merging all of those into the API repo, and then rename the API repo we'll just call it container object storage interface. Just remove API from the name. So is everyone on board with this?
Yeah, I think that seems reasonable.
Okay, then I can go ahead and open an issue to get that changed.
The rename, is it possible to do a rename and redirect, or is it going to be a like, how do you know how the rename is going to work?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I need to ask. I'm not sure how that works, actually, the renaming.
Because I mean, what we could do is leave API and redirect it to the new one.
Oh, you said create a new one? Okay, maybe I can
Maybe.
put that in the question mark just to,
Yeah.
that's preferred.
I mean, I think the preference is just if there's some pointer back from the old one to the new one.
What I've frequently seen on GitHub is the repo just gets archived or frozen, and with like a README that updates that says, "Hey, by the way, it's gone here." So there's still like a breadcrumb left behind. Because yeah, people do this. They move stuff, they rename stuff, And I don't think GitHub has like an auto redirect from, so you have to kind of leave a placeholder project there with a README.
Yeah, then I would prefer that, honestly.
So you would prefer to keep the old one and then.
Yeah.
No, like go ahead and move it, but like just don't delete the old.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be deleted. It's going to be archived, right? So it's going to be archived. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't think they delete those repos ever. I think it just.
But the point is, someone who types in the old URL should get
get the
a
new
screen
one. So
that
that's
points them to
maybe
the
I
new
will
one.
just ask. I don't know what is the process. Maybe I'll just ask them what is the process.
Yeah,
Maybe
that
just
makes
follow
sense.
whatever they recommend.
Just out of curiosity, Shing,
Yeah.
what was the reason for wanting to rename it? I think the rename itself.
Oh, it's basically just because this has like 5 repos, it's getting very difficult to manage. So basically we just consolidated everything together. Since everything's together, it no longer makes sense to create an API repo, right? Initially that API repo only contains APIs. Now it has everything. Yeah, that's the reason.
Got it. Makes sense. I think otherwise you'll have another all-in-one repo kind of project later. So
yeah.
So
we probably need pointers for all of the different things that all point to the new one. Say it's all here.
Yeah, that we can definitely do that. Yeah.
Cool. Any other comments on this or anything else? Okay, give you 20 minutes back in your day then. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Saad.
Take care.
Thank you.